Let's talk about sums and differences of angles with sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent are not functions that you can do any multiplication with. Like if I have the sine of u, the angle u plus or minus, and I'm going to do both of them at the same time, the angle v, then I can't call that sine of u plus sine of v. That's totally wrong. What I can do though is I can say that it is the sine of u times the cosine of v, and then plus or minus, this matches that, the cosine of u, the sine of v. If I have cosine of u plus or minus v, that is the cosine of u times the cosine of v. Notice how these are different. And then this one is minus or plus. So if this was plus, then this is minus. If this is minus, then this one's plus. And then we've got the sine of u, the sine of v. So the next one that I want to look at is the tangent of u plus or minus v. This is the tangent of u, and then it follows the plus or minus, so plus or minus tangent of v. It's divided by 1 minus or plus, swaps it around, the tangent of u, the tangent of v. So those are three basic ones. The cosine version has some different things that you can do with it depending on what u and v are. But these are the sums and differences. So let's take a couple of examples and find some exact values. So an exact value of something. Let's say we need the exact value of the sine of 75 degrees. Now, if you've memorized 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90 degrees, that's good, but 75 is not one of those. However, you can find the sine of 75. Sine of 75 is equivalent to saying it's the sine of, and I'm putting 75 in terms of 30s and 45s and 60s and so forth. So it's the sine of 30 plus 45, okay? 30 plus 45 is 70, but that is not the sine of 30 plus the sine of 45. There is no way. So what we have to do is we have to use this formula up here. The first angle is u and the second angle is v, just for association purposes. So this is equal to the sine of u, which is 30, times the cosine of v, which is the cosine of 45, and then it's plus, sine is plus, so if there's plus here, there's plus here. Then we've got the sine of 45 and the cosine of 30. So that's how it works out. Now the sine of 30, you should know the exact value for that. That is 1/2. The cosine of 45's exact value, square root of 2 over 2. Plus, the sine of 45 is the square root of 2 over 2. And the cosine of 30 is the square root of 3 over 2. So if we need to simplify, we can multiply here. We've got 1 times square root of 2, which is square root of 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Then here we've got plus square root of 2 times square root of 3 is square root of 6 over 4. So you could call that the square root of 2 plus the square root of 6 all over 4. And that is the exact value for the sine of 75 degrees. Now let's try one with cosine. Let's find the cosine of 15 degrees. Now we don't have that one memorized, but that's the same thing as the cosine of 45 minus 30. That's how one way I can write 15, and it's with numbers that I know. So I'm going to do that one by saying that's the cosine of 45. Now this is minus. Up here, when you've got minus, it turns into plus in between. So watch out for that. But cosine of 45, cosine of 30, then plus sine of 45, sine of 30, cosine of 45, square root of 2 over 2, cosine of 30, square root of 3 over 2, plus the sine of 45, square root of 2 over 2, sine of 30, 1/2. Here's the result. It is the square root of 6 over 4 plus the square root of 2 over 4, which is the square root of 6 plus the square root of 2 all over 4. Now something kind of interesting with these two examples is that the sine of 75 is exactly the same value as the cosine of 15. Well, sine and cosine are co-functions of each other, and 75 and 15 are complements of each other. So that is an equivalence. Complements and co-functions work out that way. Let's try another one. Let's try the value of a tangent function. So let's do a tangent function. Okay, let's take the tangent of 105 degrees. Now 105 can be written as 60 plus 45. So I'm going to write that as the tangent of 60 plus 45. This is going to be the tangent of 60 according to this formula up here. So tangent of 60 plus, keeps the symbolism exactly the same, tangent of 45 divided by 1. Now on the bottom, look at this. This was plus or minus. This is minus or plus. So we had plus here. This one's minus. Got to have tangent of 60, tangent 45. So there's where that goes. Now, what are the values? Okay, so the tangent of 60 degrees, that is the same as the sine over the cosine. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine's 1/2, so sine over cosine is square root of 3. That's one way I remember it. Plus, the tangent of 45 is 1. So 1 minus the square root of 3 times 1. Answer, square root of 3 plus 1 over 1 minus square root of 3. Now we need to rationalize the denominator. So let's do that by multiplying by the conjugate of 1 plus square root of 3, or 1 minus square root of 3. The conjugate is 1 plus. 1 plus. So I've got this and this, this and this. Here we multiply. Square root of 3 times 1 is square root of 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. And 1 times square root of 3 is square root of 3. All divided by 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times square root of 3 is plus square root of 3. Minus square root of 3 times 1 is minus square root of 3. Minus square root of 3 times plus square root of 3 is minus 3. These two add to 0. So we have a total of, up here we've got 4. we've got square root of 3 plus square root of 3. That is 2 square roots of 3. Down here we have 1 minus 3 is minus 2. That can be simplified. Let's factor a 2 out of here. So if we do that, we've got 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus, factor the 2 out, we've got square root of 3. Here we've got minus 2. So we can cancel that, and you could say something like this. It's minus the value 2 plus square root of 3. So there is the tangent of the sum of two angles.